Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Gwinnett. I invite us to begin together in song with Morning Has Broken by Eleanor Farjeon. Please make sure your microphone is muted so you can sing as energetically as you like to welcome in this beautiful new November morning. Good morning, and I'm so glad you're here with us this morning at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Gwinnett. My name is Jan Taddeo. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and it is my great joy and a huge privilege to serve our faith as a minister of this congregation. I am so glad that we can be together in any way during these difficult times. It is so good to be with you all this morning. If you have a chalice or a candle at home, to light in a few minutes when we light our chalice, please have it ready while I offer these words of welcome. We arrive from many places and many life experiences as we gather in this cherished space to recall our true selves, reflect on the meaning of our lives, and explore questions of ultimacy together. If you are here for the first time or the 1,000th time, you are welcome here. If you believe in many gods, a god or goddess, no gods, or you're just not sure, you are welcome here. If you are gay, straight, bisexual, asexual, pansexual, transgender, cisgender, or still trying to figure it out, you are welcome here. If you are covered in tattoos or a blank canvas, you are welcome here. If you shout amen after every sentence or song, or if you prefer to sit with us quietly, you are welcome here. If you arrive here sober, addicted, or somewhere in between, you are welcome here. If you are grieving, or if you are celebrating, you are welcome here. Your whole self, all that you were, all that you are, all that you long to be, is welcome here, and you are just where you should be, in a room full of compassionate and thoughtful Unitarian Universalists ready to meet you where you are. You are home. If you are a newcomer this morning, we welcome you and hope that you will find your spiritual home here with us. We are becoming a radically welcoming sanctuary in a green space. We foster spiritual growth as we joyfully nurture connections and community within our walls and beyond. If this is your first time here, I encourage you to join us several times to get the full flavor of this congregation and this faith tradition. Come and be curious, courageous, and compassionate with us. And come and be with us several months from now when we are together in our building again. Welcome. And now I invite us to take a very big, deep breath together and let it out. And it's such a crazy time. Let's do another deep breath together. As the sound from this bell vibrates through us and around us, let us be reminded that we are here for one another. We are present. We are awake. And that we are deeply and profoundly interconnected with one another, with all life on this planet, and with all the stars in the cosmos. This morning we light our congregation's ceremonial candle with great sorrow and heavy hearts to honor the life and memory of longtime member of our congregation, Nelson Paris. Nelson died on Thursday evening, October 22nd, surrounded by his beloveds, Allie Paris and Brian Harris, and his children, Brianna, Christiana, and Delilah, and close family friend, Brandy. Please hold Nelson's family in your hearts as they grieve the loss of one so beloved. A memorial service will be held in 2021, probably in Rhode Island, where Nelson's mother lives, and many of his family and friends are there. I offer these opening words from Reverend Angela Herrera, Your Broken Heart. Don't leave your broken heart at the door. Bring it to the altar of life. Don't leave your anger behind. It has high standards and the world needs vision. Bring them with you and your joy and your passion. Bring your loving and your courage and your conviction. Bring your need for healing and your powers to heal. There is work to do. And you have all that you need to do it right here, in this room, in this community. Ready to light your chalice with me? These are words from Reverend Lisa Doji. Why a flaming chalice? The question comes. It's the cup of life, we answer. A cup of blessings overflowing. A cup of water to quench your spirit's thirst. A cup of wine for celebration and dedication. The flame of truth, the fire of purification. Oil for anointing, healing. Out of chaos, fear, and horror, thus was the symbol crafted a generation ago. So may it be for us in these days of uncertainty, turmoil, and grief. And a light to warm our souls and guide us home. So may it be. And now, the wonder box, this box is sitting here. I'm very curious. Let's see what's in the box. Ready? Oh, there's stuff in here. All right. There's a medication bottle. There is a prayer book. Magic wand. Probably can't see that too well. It is a magic wand. We could all use magic wands these days and make sure they're in working order, right? Well, these are the symbols for the story today by Reverend Chris Bice called The Cure. Once upon a time, there was a young girl named Maggie who found out she had a very terrible disease and probably would never be well again. She was very, very sad, and although she had many friends, all of them were afraid to visit her because they feared they might catch the disease. So the little girl sat in her bed all by herself and was very lonely. One day she heard a knock on the door. "Come in," she said, and in walked 3 of her friends. One was a doctor, one was a minister, and one was a magician. Maggie was very glad to see them, for no one else had been brave enough to visit her. "Hello, Maggie," said her friends as they sat down around her bed. "We came to tell you something. Each one of us is going to find a cure for your disease." "Yes," said the doctor, "I'm going to go into my laboratory and do experiments until I discover a medicine that will cure your disease." "And I," said the minister, "I am going to pray every day that you will be healed of this terrible disease." "And I," said the magician, "am going to look through my books of magic until I discover a potion or spell that will rid you of your disease." Maggie smiled and was happy because she saw how much her friends cared for her. "Thanks," she said. And her friends said, "Well, we're sorry we can't stay any longer to visit, but we must rush off and begin our search for a cure. We'll return in 3 days, and surely by then one of us will have found a way to cure your disease." And so her friends went away in search of a cure, and once again Maggie was very lonely. For 3 days, Maggie's friends did everything they could to find a cure for the disease. The doctor worked hard in his laboratory, but couldn't discover any medicine that could help the little girl. The minister prayed every day and every night that Maggie would be healed of her disease, but the little girl was still sick. The magician looked through all the magic books, but there were no spells or potions that could cure Maggie's disease. All 3 of Maggie's friends were very, very sad, for they felt that they had failed. After the 3 days were over, the doctor, the minister, and the magician returned to Maggie's house and told her the bad news. "We're sorry," they said, "but we couldn't find a cure. We did our best." And the 3 friends began to cry. "Don't cry," said Maggie. "Before I was sick, I had many friends, but now they're all afraid to visit me. This disease I have is a terrible one, but it's nothing compared to the loneliness I have felt these last few days. I now know loneliness is the worst disease of all. Right now, the medicine I need most is your friendship. The prayer I need most is for you to simply be with me. And the magic I need most is your love." And so the doctor, the minister, and the magician gathered around the little girl and laid their hands upon her. In the silence that followed, it is said that they found the cure. Now let us sing together "When I Am Frightened" by Shelley Jackson Denham.
Will you Healing Moment by the Reverend Elizabeth Tarbox. Each day I am newly reminded of my unworthiness, a dozen thoughts misspoken. Another day when the good I do falls short of the good that I could do. Myriad small interchanges, moments of sharing that strain to this breaking point my desire to be generous, helpful, and kind. Months of careful work lost by a moment's impatience, a careless word. But when I'm here at the edge of creation, breaking with the small tide over the sand, the need to do good rolls away. The question of what is right diminishes to insignificance and is easily borne away by the tiny waves. Here, where no words are spoken, none are misspoken. I am with the broken stubble of the marsh grass that holds on through the wrecking wind and the burning flood. I am with the grains that mold themselves around everything, accepting even so unworthy a foot as mine, holding and shaping it until it feels that it belongs. I stand somewhere between truth and vision, and what I don't know ceases to embarrass me, because what I do know is that the water feels gentle, like a lover's touch, and the sand welcomes it. What I've done or failed to do has left no noticeable mark on creation. What I do or don't do is of no moment now. Now I am here and grateful to be touched, calmed, and healed by the immense pattern of the universe. And when I die, it will be an honor for my blood to return to the sea and my bones to become the sand. Reassured, I am called back to my life, to another day.
Thank you, Barbara, for giving voice to Elizabeth Tarbox's words. Our theme this month for November is healing. And today I want to talk about grief and healing. It's the Sunday when we're doing our annual service of Remembrance, and that will follow this homily. Medicine, magic, and prayers. Three of the ways that we look towards sources for healing, for wholeness, for renewal. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But our story reminds us that what persists is connection and friendship and love and being with one another. There's a lot of grief going around these days. There's a lot of personal grief, and I want to touch on that for a moment. Personal grief, the loss of beloveds, the loss of friends, family members, for whatever reason during this time, some through COVID, some just because life is not permanent and people get sick, they get old. Eventually, we die. It's the cycle of life. And yet, when someone we love dies, we go into denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. These are called the 5 stages of grief, but if for those of us who've been through grief, we know that they don't follow a linear, nice, clean way through. We go loop-de-loop and loop-de-loop through all of this, and even years later can get caught up in something we'd already thought we'd worked through. Maybe we thought we'd already worked through all the anger we could have, and yet there it is. And there are a few things to remember when we're experiencing this really personal grief, this deep sense of loss, is that it can come from 2 primary sources in my understanding, in my experience, having lost both parents and a lot of beloved friends. I think 10 friends just since last November. The sense of loss comes out of our deep love, our joy of being with this person we love, knowing that they're there in our lives, knowing that we have these relationships that sustain us, people we can look to for support and affirmation and joy and fun and laughter and all the ways that good relationships feed our spirit. They can also come out of this grief can also come out of a sense of a loss of hope. Perhaps the relationship wasn't great. Maybe you had hopes that there would still be time to repair the relationship, that it could still be healed and mended, that we could return to some or find a new way of being together. That can happen sometimes also just with a good relationship that's maybe become distant. Maybe there are friends we forget to call. I certainly have a list of people that I keep intending to call to check in with, and then I don't, for whatever reason. Maybe you can relate to that. So sometimes there's just regret in this when someone dies, someone we know. We have spiritual resources to help us through this. There is prayer. There's absolutely prayer. And that prayer doesn't have to be praying to some personal God that's going to fix everything or bring this person back in your life or whatever. It can just be a prayer to your inner wisdom, a prayer to something that feels larger than yourself, that you can call forth some strength and wisdom and energy to move through all this grief. We have music. A lot of people turn to music. I actually created a 5 stages of grief playlist. It is very linear, as playlists are, but I'm happy to share that if someone's interested. It's pretty intense. And then there's journaling, writing. I have written so many letters to my father, and who I had a complicated relationship with, and just keep writing and trying to work through all that wasn't said before he died. Pretty close to finishing all that writing for now. There's Tonglen, which is a spiritual practice you can look up, Tonglen, Tonglen, where you recognize that you're not alone in this, that whatever you're grieving, whatever you're experiencing, there are probably about 1 billion people on the planet experiencing something very similar. Even though each one of us is experiencing something unique, there are other people who are grieving. There are other people who have had losses, who have lost the same kind of relative or friend that you've lost, and they're hurting too. And you can take all that hurt and grief and breathe it in and breathe out peacefulness and comfort and acceptance, and help to transform some of those feelings. We can also put the feelings a little bit outside of us. We can say, there is grief, not I am grieving. That's not who I am, because even as I am grieving, I can still laugh and find joy and see beauty and have really good experiences. So not all of who I am is that grief. There is grief. There is anger. There is frustration. There's all that. All that. So those of you who've been listening to me preach for a while know that I like to listen to a lot of podcasts. And one recent episode of the coronavirus fact versus fiction podcast with Sanjay Gupta, who's the CNN medical correspondent and neurosurgeon. This one was called Compassion Fade. We've heard of compassion fatigue, and this isn't like that. This isn't like, I've been putting out so much compassion, I just don't know if there's anything left in the well. This is about just sheer numbers. I'm going to read some numbers to you, and I want you to take these in and sit with them for a moment and see what it feels like. 1,197,26. 1,197,26. 230,566. 230,566. 7,979. 7,979. 450. 450. I expect most of you know what those numbers are. Globally, as of this morning, 1,197,026 people have died from the COVID virus that we know of. In the United States, 230,566 people have died from the COVID virus that we know of. In Georgia, 7,979 people have died from the COVID virus that we know of. In Gwinnett County, 450 people have died from the COVID virus that we know of. Every day I look at these numbers and I feel them. I take them in. I pay special attention to the last number because 1 million is so big, so I focus on the 6 or the 26. Sometimes that number is 1, and that really, really helps. And in this podcast about compassion fade, they're clear that we are really good at having compassion for one person. We're really good at that. Even if it's somebody we don't know, if we read about it in the news, one person, we can find that. We can put that out there. 2 people starts to make it hard. Already, just at 2 people, we start to have just a little fade in our compassion. And this is in part why it's been so hard for us to come together as a country, as a global community, to conquer this. Added to that is, in this podcast, are studies that they've done about how people choose where they're most compassionate. And it's kind of a complicated testing system they went through, but through it they discovered that if people have to make a choice of who to sacrifice in a sudden accident situation, who's going to be the person that they choose to save and who's going to be the person who has to die. I'm sorry for cat lovers, cats are at the bottom of the list. Sorry. And being someone who's approaching 60, really sad to say that old people are pretty low on the list. Dogs actually come more than old people. We're quicker to save dogs. And it goes forward, and there's all these different scenarios they run. They have identities attached to the people in the scenarios, and they have different ways of categorizing and sorting all this information about how do people choose where to put their compassion, how to act on their compassion. And no surprise, at the very top, the place where most people will save the person is when it's a child. That makes sense, right? That makes sense. We want our children to thrive and survive and live long, beautiful, joyful lives. So that's where we have our most compassion. So when polio became a pandemic in the middle of the 20th century and it was affecting mostly children, boy, people were quick to take action and do what they needed to do. But this disease is most fatal for those who are older or have health issues or, whatever, the weaker people. So they don't get our compassion, our collective compassion fades. This is tragic. This is just so sad and tragic. It's a spiritual crisis in my mind. And I think we need to sit with this a little bit and just take that in. Take that in. And now you're kind of moving through this. You look at the situation in this country politically and globally, the political situation around the world is really tragic and scary. And a lot of unknowns and uncertainty, a lot of violence and hurt. and we don't know how it's going to go. We have an election this week, and a lot of people are putting a lot of hope on this election. And I don't want to fully discourage that, but I do want to caution it. I don't know about other faith traditions, but in the Unitarian Universalist Association, religious leaders are being inundated with information and ideas and resources to walk together through these next few weeks, months, or maybe longer. We don't know what post-election even means right now, because we don't know when it will actually be settled and how it will be settled. There are best case scenarios and worst case scenarios and different things for all of that. The Unitarian Universalist Association is holding a prayer vigil on Thursday night, open to all Unitarian Universalists. That information is in our Facebook group, and we'll try and get that out in other ways as well. And Wednesday night, I'll be holding space at 8 o'clock for anyone who wants to come and just be together, just to share what you're feeling. And I expect we'll be feeling a lot of uncertainty because we won't know yet what the situation will be. We are standing in an in-between space, somewhere between truth and vision. I don't fully know what that means, standing between truth and vision. I feel like we're standing in a world of so much uncertainty, it's hard to know where to place myself, my energy. If no words are spoken, none are misspoken, our writer says. If no words are spoken, none are misspoken. That is a place of freezing, of not taking any action, of not being present, of not speaking out. And we must speak out. We must be present. We must take care of one another. There's so much going on in this world that we can't fix. We shouldn't avoid. And where we have to be present. So, yes, my beloveds, this is a sad picture I paint, isn't it? And yet, I want to remind you that even though there is fear and loss and anger and depression and loneliness and anxiety and hopelessness and all of those really hard emotions that move through us and around us that are not who we are, because who we can be and who we also are is joy and beauty and laughter and humor and friendship and connection, and above all, love. Above all, love is all around us, within us, and we draw our circle of love wider and wider and wider, even as people are closing in and closing in. We Unitarian Universalists, we UU Congregation of Gwinnett, draw our circle wider and wider and wider, because we know that everyone is looking for community, for connection. And many are looking for a life-saving faith like this one that puts love at the center and connection at the center and care for one another at the center. That's what the world needs right now, care and connection and love in abundance. So we have to share that wherever and however we can. We have to be present. We have to show up like Maggie in our story. It was great that all her friends wanted to go find all that lovely stuff for her and fix her disease and make it better. But what she really needed was their companionship. And though companionship in person is hard right now, it's still really, really important to do it in any way we can. So look for ways to connect and to share your love, because we all need emotional and spiritual healing at some point in our lives. And we offer that to one another. And we can be reassured that life is good, basically good at the very core. Just look outside your window at all the goodness. And we can be called back to life for another day. creating dreams for all that we might do in our lives, and setting out to experience all that we hope to behold. Sharing the stories of the things we've done, the heirlooms we've accumulated, the historical events we've witnessed. Living a life of integrity, authenticity, and leaving a legacy of love, gratitude, compassion, and generosity. All this and more are but glimpses of the meaning and purpose we create for our lives. In a house which becomes a home, one hands down and another takes up the heritage of mind and heart, laughter and tears, musing and deeds. Love, like a carefully loaded ship, crosses the gulf between generations. We live not by things, but by the meaning of things. It is needful to transmit the passwords from generation to generation. We need only to look in our memory to see the gifts of those who touched our lives. The teacher who taught us how to read. The friends who laughed with us and made us believe in ourselves again. Parents and grandparents without whom we would not be. The mentors who showed us the path. The loves of our lives. Their best continues within us. This wreath of remembrance was created on June 3rd, 2012. Each year at the end of October, we bring it down from the wall of our sanctuary and add to it the names of the beloveds we want to remember. This house of memory and hope is a legacy bequeathed to us. With gratitude and joy, we celebrate these gifts. We have been blessed by these lives. When we look, we can find reminders all around us. When we gather, their voices echo through our own. When we celebrate, their joy is felt. When we act, their wisdom sustains us. Many names have been placed on this wreath over the years, and we always begin with the names of members of the congregation who died since our last ceremony. Nelson David Paris. Many here hold the heritage of mind and heart, laughter and tears, musings and deeds, handed down from those who have touched our lives, no longer living in this physical world. A teacher who taught you well, a friend who made you believe in yourself, parents and grandparents whose love nurtured you, a mentor who walked the path with you, a love of your life. Each year, when we gather in our sanctuary for this ritual, people are invited to come forward to write names of beloveds who have passed this year and tie the ribbon to the wreath. This year, I invited people to share the names and photos of their beloveds with me in advance of the service. And I've created a ribbon for each name, and I will attach them to the wreath as we play this video of their names and photos to the music of our choir singing The Parting Glass with Barbara Stanke on flute. If you did not have the opportunity to send me a name, please put it in the chat, and I will create a ribbon, and I will hold on to that information till next October, so we make sure that we say their names. Here we go. David Eaton wrote, all living substance, all substance of energy, being, and purpose are united and share the same destiny. All people, those we love and those we know not of, are united and share the same destiny. Birth to death, we share this unity with the sun, earth, flowers of the field, snowflakes, volcanoes, and moonbeams. Birth, life, death. Unknown, known, unknown. Our destiny from unknown to unknown. May we have the faith to accept this mystery and build upon its everlasting truth. In this spirit, I ask you now to join me in a responsive reading to honor all our beloveds, named and unnamed, who have moved into the unknown. Your words after each phrase are, "We remember them." In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. Let's respond together in singing Spirit of Life in Fuente de Amor. Please rise and body your spirit as we blend our voices as one. Our congregation is committed to creating a more compassionate world, and one way in which we do this is we split our plate collection with an organization selected by the Give Away the Plate Committee. Our fourth quarter plate collection is going to New Life Technology Group. Located in Alpharetta, Georgia, New Life Technology Group has a mission to help our planet by reducing e-waste and support our community through their Computers for Kids program. They do this by recycling, refurbishing, and redistributing electronic waste. They work with businesses, schools, faith communities, nonprofits, and neighborhoods to help keep electronics out of landfills and donate them back to the community. Through the power of our donations, they are able to transform our community and the world around us towards a cleaner, greener, and more hopeful future. Our plate contributions also support the shared ministry of this congregation. I ask that you please give generously to support this vital and important ministry in our larger community, as well as the vision and mission of our congregation. As we listen to a recording of our pianist Brian Bishop playing Shades of Blue by Robert Starer, you can see on your screen ways to contribute to our offering by PayPal, Venmo, or by mailing a check payable to UUCG to the address shown. If you are worshiping with us for the first time, your presence here today with us is a generous gift to this congregation, and you may choose to let the plate pass if you like. The offering will now be most gratefully received. May the generous gifts we receive this week move us towards realizing our vision of a more connected and compassionate world. Thank you for your gifts. I am grateful to Barbara Stanke for taking lead on this morning's, grateful to Barbara Stanke for sharing her voice in the service this morning, and to Christiana McQueen for managing the Zoom room, and Russ Taddeo for running video and sound. And now is the time for our call to connection. Please seek ways to connect between Sundays. It's so important that we keep our community strong through this time. If you are new to our congregation, I encourage you to text welcoming, that word, to this number on the screen. After Tuesday, I'm hoping people aren't getting a whole bunch of texts from campaign efforts. So maybe you'll be willing to receive a few texts from us and a few emails only for a few weeks. So this will help you to get more connected and find out more about us. You can go to our Register for Events button on the website to see what other kinds of things we're doing and to register for our activities. And one thing, if you're new to the congregation, you might want to do is join our UU 101 Visitor Orientation Program on November 15th at 12:30, where you can learn more about this congregation and this faith tradition. And on that day, we also offer our 102 Path to Membership program, and that will also be at 12:30. And those links for that are on our calendar, and the register. It is really, really good to register because we like to know that you're coming. Also, today and on the first Sunday of every month, we're doing a food collection for the Lawrenceville Cooperative Ministry, canned goods, non-perishable box goods, things like that, and also personal care items like toilet paper, deodorant, shampoo, all kinds of things are needed. This is a small list. You can go to the website of the Lawrenceville Cooperative Ministry where they list what they most need these days, but everything is needed. So whatever you bring is good. From 2 to 4 today, there will be people there to receive your donations. On next Saturday, we'll have another work day. It would be lovely to get a lot of people out. Just every little bit will help. We need lots of bushes trimmed, and we need some mulch put down. We have some gravel we'd like to put down around the new nature trail that our Eagle Scout Landon Meyer has created for us. So please come out. We need weeding, we need planting, just whatever you can do, even for a few hours. So 8 to 11 next Saturday. And there is a registration for that that helps us to know how many hands we'll have on deck. If you can donate platelets, please do. A beloved member of our congregation is using 4 to 5 bags of platelets a day, and we need to make sure there's plenty in the supply line for him. It's a high mark to be able to donate. There's a lot of things that can knock you out of the running for donating platelets. So if you are eligible and you got good veins, please make the time to donate if you can. Very important program that's starting up November 15th is a transgender inclusion in congregations program. This is something we have committed our significant money to make this happen. It's a very good program, and it does require some watching videos and reading some documents. And then there will be a small group meeting of the people who registered once in December, once in January, and once in February to process what we're learning and how we're going to apply it to our congregation. This is a major effort towards our commitment to being a radically welcoming sanctuary. Please take part in this. Please register for it and do the best you can to participate. We know no one is able to do it perfectly, but if you can be involved and at least get access to the materials and do your part to learn more about transgender inclusion, it would take us a long way towards our vision of radical welcome. Our elementary religious exploration program is on Sundays from 12:30 on Zoom. Second Sundays, there's a home project. People are given the materials for a project at home. So next Sunday there will be a project at home. You must register for this because all of our programs that involve children require special security on our Zoom pages, so we require registration to get those links for the Zoom room. Please register at uucg.org. Thank you. And next Sunday at 10 o'clock, this month we're doing a new program called A Call to Faith in Turbulent Times, speaking specifically to what we're dealing with these days with the pandemic and politics and all that. So next Sunday will be A Call to Love is the theme for next Sunday's 10 o'clock program. Please join us. And Yarns from the Heart meets this Wednesday, first and third Wednesdays of each month. And our virtual happy hour is morphing a little bit. So we're combining it with the book club. So the first hour will be gathering to chat and, happy hour time. And then at 7 o'clock, for those who want to take part in the book club, you'll stay for that. Or you can come in at 7 o'clock if all you want to do is the book club. The book is from our October selection. It was postponed to this Thursday, and it's called Unsheltered by Barbara Kingsolver. So you have time to skim it or read the Cliff Notes or something by Thursday, so join us. Check our e-news and our newsletter and our calendar for more ways to connect with the choir and with our Belief Exploration program is next Sunday after the service. Exploring Tarot with Sherry every Sunday from 4 to 6. Yarns from the Heart. Sylvan Sanctuary is on November 7th. Ritual for Samhain. So please look for these ways to connect. And a reminder that our pledge drive is coming to a close. So as someone said to me, tell them, hop to it. Get on it. Make it snappy. That's what I knew. There was a snap in there. We're going to have a town hall meeting on November 22nd to talk about the budget that we're proposing for 2021. We need a good 20,000 more pledges to make that happen. We have quite a few people who haven't yet filled out a pledge form. It's so easy. It's right on the front page of our website. Just click there and make a pledge. Every pledge counts. No matter how small or how large, they all count. They all come together to make us strong and help us to live into our vision. So please send your pledge form this week if you haven't done so yet, and we'll start those reminder messages soon. After the election messages stop, we can start contacting people about their pledges. And now, let us rise in spirit as we say together the words we say as we extinguish our chalice, and then we'll sing together For All That Is Our Life by Bruce Finlow and Patrick Rickey. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community. or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Yep. Don't leave your broken heart at the door. Bring it to the altar of life. Don't leave your anger behind. It has high standards and the world needs vision. Bring them with you and your joy and your passion. Bring your loving and your courage and your conviction. Bring your need for healing and your powers to heal. There is work to do, and you have all that you need to do it right here in this room, in this community, with these beloveds. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Our service has ended. Our service to one another in the world begins, and there will be much that is required of us over the coming weeks. We know not what the world will be like over these next few weeks. Please take very good care. Reach out if you need support. Reach out if you want to find ways to serve. And wear your masks, wash your hands, don't touch your face. Keep distant from other people.